The Galactic Council chamber was one of the largest structures ever built by intelligent hands. It was a dome of pure crystal, floating above the blue clouds of Virilis Prime. Every sound inside the chamber echoed softly, as if the walls themselves were listening. Thousands of lights hovered in the air like slow-moving stars, giving the place an almost holy glow. But on this day, there was nothing holy in the room. There was only arrogance. Representatives from 50 different alien species sat in curved rows, each on their raised metallic platforms. Their robes sparkled, their badges shined, and their expressions were full of pride. They believed they were the center of the galaxy, old, powerful, wise. And standing in the middle of them all, were the humans. 2 human ambassadors waited quietly on the central platform. One was Ambassador Ilara Voss, calm and sharp-eyed. The second was Commander Hale, dressed in Earth's diplomatic uniform, tall and silent like a guard stone. Most council members barely looked at them. To the council, humans were still the young race. A species only a few hundred years into space travel. A species that talked too much about cooperation and peace. A species the council believed could be controlled. Today's meeting was supposed to finalize a new galaxy-wide peace agreement. Humans had worked endlessly on it, rewriting clauses, solving conflicts between alien empires, even helping 2 rival species meet for the first time in decades. But the council saw things differently. They believed humans were desperate to prove themselves. So they pushed harder and harder, making new demands every hour. Now, after weeks of effort, Ilara Voss stood before them with the last copy of the treaty in her hands. She spoke in a steady voice. Honorable council members, Earth requests a final review. We believe. Before she could finish, a loud snort echoed across the chamber. It came from Lord Raxus, the representative of the Graltalk Dominion. His species looked like massive bears made of armor plates. Their deep voices shook the ground. Humans request, Raxus said mockingly. Humans always request something. Why not accept your place, younglings? Several aliens laughed. A few nodded. Ilara paused, but her face stayed calm. Commander Hale did not move at all. We are not here to take a place beneath anyone, she replied. We are here to make peace. This time, she was interrupted not by a snort, but by a loud metallic clacking. Councillor Zirith, a skeletal insectoid with long crystal wings, leaned forward. Peace? Zirith hissed. You speak of peace as if you understand it. Your species has barely survived your own wars. You are not worthy to design treaties for the galaxy. The chamber murmured in agreement. Some aliens tapped their claws on the table. Others whispered things they thought humans could not hear. Ilara heard every word. She continued, still polite, still composed. Every species here has known war, Counselor. Humans only wish to prevent more. Enough. The voice belonged to High Speaker Aurum, leader of the entire council, a tall silver-skinned elder. He raised his thin hand, and the chamber fell silent. Ambassador Voss, Aurum said, your work on this treaty is noted. But the council believes you humans overestimate your importance. This peace agreement will move forward only if Earth accepts the new conditions. Ilara knew the new conditions. Earth would be required to give up control of several human colonies, share human hyperfuel technology freely, provide military support to selected council missions, pay heavy trade taxes. It was an insult disguised as diplomacy. Yet every alien delegate acted as if these demands were normal. Commander Hale finally spoke. His voice was deep and steady. With respect, these conditions undermine Earth's sovereignty. A wave of laughter rolled across the chamber. Some aliens laughed because they found humans amusing. Some laughed because they thought Earth was too small to refuse. Others laughed simply because everyone else was laughing. Ilara stood silently, letting the noise pass. Inside, she was disappointed, but not surprised. In private meetings, she had seen the council's arrogance many times. She had watched them brag about their long histories, their ancient empires, their wars and victories. They believed humans still crawled in the shadow of giants. When the laughter stopped, Aurum leaned forward. Ambassador, he said with a thin smile, you must understand. Humans talk of fairness. But fairness is a human idea. In this chamber, power decides. And you have none, Raxus growled. Another ripple of amusement spread across the alien platforms. Ilara slowly closed the treaty folder in her hands. The sound of that soft click echoed like thunder in the silent chamber. For the first time, some council members frowned. Ilara Voss had never broken composure before. Humans were known for their patience, their cooperation, their willingness to keep trying even when insulted. But patience had its limits. "Ilara," Commander Hale whispered, sensing what she was about to do. She took one step forward, turned toward the high speaker, and spoke with perfect clarity. "Earth withdraws from these negotiations. Effective immediately." Her voice was calm, but it carried power. The room froze. Every alien blinked. Some choked on their laughs. A few sat up straight, suddenly unsure. "Withdraw." Orem repeated. "You cannot withdraw. You need this treaty." Ilara met his eyes. "No. The galaxy needs this treaty. But we will not be part of something built on disrespect." Counselor Zirith clicked her mandibles angrily. "You dare insult the Council?" "No," Ilara replied softly. "You insulted humanity for years. You only forgot that we can walk away." She turned. Commander Hale turned. And together, they walked toward the exit platform. No shouting. No threats. No anger. Only silence. Silence so heavy it made the glowing chamber lights seem dim. As the humans left the center of the hall, alien leaders watched, not with arrogance now, but with confusion. No species had ever walked out of council peace talks before. No one dared to. Because no one ever believed they could. Just before the doors closed behind them, Ilara spoke one last time, without turning back. "Earth will no longer offer proposals to this council. Good day." The doors slid shut. Inside the chamber, the lights flickered. The council sat in stunned silence, pretending they still held power. But for the first time in decades, a thin thread of fear moved through the room. They had pushed humanity too far. And they had no idea what consequences were coming. The walk from the council chamber to the diplomatic transport bay felt strangely long. The glowing halls of Varellus Prime were usually filled with calm music and drifting lights, but today everything felt cold. The humans walked side by side, Ambassador Ilara Voss in front, Commander Hale slightly behind her like a silent shadow. Neither of them spoke. Ilara's footsteps were steady, yet her hands were trembling slightly. Not from fear, humans had faced far worse things than rude politicians, but from deep disappointment. They had spent months trying to bring peace to a galaxy that clearly did not want their help. As they rounded a corner, Hale finally broke the silence. "You did the right thing," he said gently. "They went too far this time." Ilara exhaled slowly. "I knew they would resist us. I didn't expect mockery." "They're afraid," Hale replied. "Afraid of losing power." She didn't answer. She didn't need to. They both knew the truth. The council did not fear human weakness. They feared human influence. The doors ahead slid open, revealing the main transit hall. Rows of alien guards, diplomats, and messengers lined the area, all stopping to stare at the two humans walking through them. Some looked confused. Others amused. A few looked pleased. Then, from the far end of the hall, a deep metallic growl echoed. Lord Raxus appeared again. He moved like a walking tank, huge, armored, and full of the same arrogance he had shown earlier. His heavy footfalls shook the crystal floor. Behind him stood several Graltalk officers, all smirking as if they already knew what was coming. "Ambassador Voss," Raxus boomed, his voice amplified by the hall's acoustics. "Running away so soon?" Ilara stopped walking. Hale stepped slightly in front of her, protective but controlled. "We are departing," she replied calmly. "The negotiations are over." Raxus tilted his head, pretending to misunderstand. "Over? No, little human. Nothing ends until the council says it ends." A few aliens nearby chuckled. Others moved closer to watch. Ilara's eyes narrowed. Earth decides its own diplomacy. That only made Raxus laugh harder. His armor plates clacked together like grinding stone. "You think your tiny world matters? Without the council, humans are nothing." Commander Hale stepped forward. His voice was low but unshaken. "Move aside." Several Graltalk guards immediately blocked their path. Raxus smiled, cold, satisfied, hungry for humiliation. "You humans speak of respect, of peace, of unity. Yet you refuse simple obedience. You are predictable. Always pretending to be noble." Ilara held his gaze. "Respect is earned, Lord Raxus. And humans have earned none." This time, the laughter was louder. "Cruella. Meaner." A reptilian diplomat whispered loudly. "They came here thinking they were equal." Another snickered. "So emotional, typical humans." Raxus stepped closer until his towering shadow fell over Ilara. "Let me explain something your species always forgets," he growled. The council decides the rules. The council decides your place. And your place? He leaned down so close she could smell the metallic scent of his armor. Is beneath us. More laughter. More mocking tones. They expected the humans to flinch. To look down. To accept humiliation. Ilara did none of these. Her expression didn't change. Her eyes didn't blink. She didn't move backward even an inch. Instead, she spoke clearly, every word sharp and controlled. I will give you one chance, she said, to step away. The hall fell silent for a moment, then erupted with laughter again, harsher than before. Or what? Raxus barked. Will you write another speech? Even some guards laughed. Commander Hale's jaw tightened, but he waited for Ilara's signal. And she remained perfectly calm. Raxus, she said, you misunderstand something very important. And what is that? He mocked. Ilara finally stepped forward. Her voice stayed quiet, but every syllable carried weight. You think Earth needs your approval? She paused. It does not. Raxus blinked, confused. You think humans need your protection? She paused again. We do not. A few aliens exchanged uncertain glances. You think humanity is desperate to join your council? Her expression hardened. We are not. For the first time, Raxus's smile faded. Ilara continued, her voice rising just enough to reach the entire hall. We offered peace because we believed the galaxy could become better. She took a breath. But you don't want better. You want control. Silence spread across the hall like a cold wave. Humans are leaving, she added softly. And we won't return. That single sentence hit harder than anything she had said so far. Raxus flared his nostrils. You cannot leave. You are bound by treaty obligations. Those treaties, Ilara said, were built on mutual respect. You broke that long ago. Raxus stepped forward, furious. His guards tensed, ready to block the humans again. But Commander Hale moved like a wall of iron. Touch her, he warned in a low voice, and the entire Dominion will wake up to the biggest mistake it has ever made. Raxus hesitated. Not because Hale threatened him, but because Hale spoke with absolute certainty. The Graltalk were a warrior race. They recognized confidence in battle. And Hale carried himself like a man who had already survived wars far worse than the Council's politics. Ilara glanced at him, then back at Raxus. We are done here. She began walking again, and this time the guards did not stop her. Something in her voice had changed the air. Something in Hale's posture said the consequences would be very real. As they reached the transport bay entrance, Raxus shouted after them. You humans will regret this. The Council will not forgive your disrespect. Ilara didn't turn back. She simply raised her voice so everyone could hear her final answer. Earth does not fear your forgiveness. The doors closed behind the humans. Inside the vast hall, Raxus stood frozen, fists clenched, surrounded by a crowd that no longer laughed. Whispers spread quickly. Did the humans really withdraw? What will happen now? This has never happened before. For the first time, doubt slipped into the minds of the powerful. Because the humans had not just ended negotiations. They had broken a pattern. A pattern the Council believed would never break. And deep in that moment of silence, one truth settled across the chamber. They had pushed the humans too far. And they had no idea what that would cost them. The moment the humans exited the Grand Hall, the sound of the doors closing echoed like a quiet thunderclap through the chamber. The glowing starlights dimmed slightly, and a strange chill settled over the Council platforms. What had started as amusement and arrogance now shifted into something different. Uncertainty. High Speaker Orem rose slowly from his shining seat. His silver skin reflected the trembling lights above. For the first time in many years, his voice held a hint of hesitation. Resume order, he commanded. But the chamber did not return to order. Not immediately. The alien delegates were whispering to each other, confused and restless. The laughter that had filled the room earlier was gone. In its place were murmurs and unease. Councillor Zirith tapped her crystal claws nervously. This is unacceptable, she said sharply. They embarrassed us. Lord Raxus growled, they will come crawling back. Humans always talk, but they cannot survive without the Council. Several delegates nodded at first, but their nods slowed. Then stopped. Because deep down, they knew something wasn't right. A small, pale amphibian diplomat from the Iluan Republic suddenly lifted his data device. His eyes widened. High Speaker, an urgent report from the trade networks. Aurum frowned. Speak. The Iluan diplomat swallowed. Human freight stations have closed all long-range channels. Silence. What do you mean closed? Zirith snapped. I mean, completely, the Iluan whispered. They have stopped sharing star maps and travel warnings. Their navigation hubs just went dark. A ripple of shock spread across the chamber. Human star mapping was the most advanced in the galaxy. Their satellite network monitored hyperlanes, wormhole activity, pirate routes, even meteor storms. Every species depended on that information to travel safely. Without it, ships would be flying blind. Another representative, this one from the Van Dominion, stood abruptly. My government is reporting an immediate surge in pirate attacks on our outer colonies, he announced. Human patrol data is missing. We are losing vessels already. The chamber erupted in alarmed voices. Impossible, humans always share that data. How can they shut it down so quickly? This will destabilize the entire outer rim. They cannot do this without warning. Aurum slammed his staff against the floor, forcing silence. Enough, he said sharply. We must first understand. But before he could finish, another alarm rang from a console. A glowing projection appeared above the chamber, displaying a message from the Galactic Health Directorate. Counselor Wraith, a tall avian with glowing feathers, read it quickly. Her feathers turned a dull gray. No, she whispered. Not now. What is it? Aurum demanded. Wraith looked up, fear in her eyes. The humans, they have withdrawn their medical assistance from the rim sectors. Gasps filled the room. But the rim depends on human vaccines. They are the only species tracking the plague outbreaks. They oversee the distribution centers. Wraith read further, her voice shaking. The outbreak on the Talos frontier is spreading again. Without human intervention, millions will be at risk. Zirith hissed angrily. This is their revenge. Their pettiness. A quiet voice answered from the side. It belonged to the archivist, an old, thin alien with hollow eyes and decades of experience studying galactic history. This is not revenge, he said softly. This is efficiency. Humans do not fight with noise. They fight with absence. The entire chamber froze. Because they all understood what that meant. Humans had not attacked. They had not threatened. They had simply removed themselves. And the galaxy was already shaking. A new report blinked into the air. This time from the Engineering Guild. Counselor Laric, a robotic species member, read it in a cold metallic tone. Wormhole Gate 3B has collapsed. Shocked gasps. That gate was stabilized by human gravitational engineers. Without their constant monitoring, travel will be delayed across half the sectors. Laric continued reading. 3 more gates are showing instability. The guild is unable to repair them without human technology. A complete hush fell over the room. Lord Raxus finally spoke, but his voice was no longer confident. We knew the humans contributed to these systems, he growled uncertainly. But this level of dependence was greater than we admitted, the archivist said. Another projection appeared, this one marked high priority. A nervous Andori diplomat read it out loud. It says, humans have suspended all intelligence sharing programs. Now panic spread like a fire. What about the pirate war in Sector 9? They run the only network that tracks the Black Nebula raiders. Our colonies rely completely on human intel. We cannot defend our trade routes without them. Aurum lowered himself slowly into his seat. The weight of the situation pressed upon him like gravity. He whispered, barely audible. What have we done? The chamber grew colder. Delegates who had mocked humanity only an hour earlier now sat tense and pale, realizing something they had refused to see for decades. Humans had quietly supported almost every major system in the galaxy. Navigation, medical research, engineering, emergency response, anti-piracy intel, trade route monitoring, diplomacy between warring species. They had done it without demanding power or glory. They had done it because they believed in cooperation. And the Council had mistaken that kindness for weakness. Now, without human support, the galaxy was beginning to fall apart faster than anyone expected. The archivist looked around the room, his voice trembling with age and truth. You laughed when they spoke of respect, he said. You mocked their patience. You pushed them away, believing they would always return. But humans are not the obedient servants we thought they were. His eyes darkened. They are the pillars holding this council together. and we have pulled them from under our own feet. A chilling silence followed. Even Raxus stayed quiet, realizing the truth, a truth he had never wanted to consider. Another weak, frightened voice rose from the lower platforms. What do we do now? Aurum exhaled, defeated. We pray, he said softly, that the humans are willing to listen one more time. But as the lights dimmed above the council chamber, even he knew. Humans were no longer waiting. The galaxy had taken them for granted. And now, the consequences had only begun. For the first 12 hours after the humans withdrew, the galaxy tried to continue as if nothing had changed. Ships still launched, trade routes still opened, and the council pretended it still had control. But the universe does not reshape itself slowly. Sometimes, everything falls apart, all at once. The first sign came from Sector 9, a distant but important trading region. The region had always been dangerous, but human intelligence networks kept pirate forces in check. Without the humans, the darkness returned immediately. In the middle of the night cycle, alarms rang across the Van Dominion's capital station. A panicked officer rushed into the council's emergency channel. Sector 9 is under attack, he shouted. Multiple trade convoys have been hijacked. The Black Nebula raiders are everywhere, we have no warning data. Councillor Ziritha's wings twitched sharply. But the humans monitor raider movements daily, how can they be everywhere at once? The officer answered with trembling fear. We lost all human intel 12 hours ago. We are blind. The message cut, but screams and explosions echoed in the background before it ended. A heavy silence followed. Lord Raxus muttered, they acted too quickly. Pirates never move this fast. The archivist shook his head. No. The pirates were always moving this fast. Humans were the ones slowing them down. The council members looked at one another, their earlier arrogance replaced by a new emotion, dread. But this was only the beginning. 16 hours after the withdrawal, a second crisis erupted. This time from the rim sectors, home to dozens of smaller, weaker species. A deadly plague had been spreading for years in that region, but humans provided constant medical support, vaccines, field hospitals, research labs. Without human scientists, the plague had no cage. A desperate message arrived from the Rim Medical Command. Outbreak levels rising at catastrophic speed. We have no access to human vaccine code. The disease is mutating. We need help. Councillor Wraither's feathers puffed in panic. The humans stored all medical data in their networks. They never shared the root code, they said it was too dangerous. And now it's gone, someone whispered. Wraith looked helpless. Millions will die. A cold truth settled over the chamber. Humans had been the only species capable of keeping the plague under control. Without them, the galaxy trembled a little more. By hour 20, panic began spreading through the great wormhole gates, giant artificial tunnels that allowed near-instant travel across immense distances. Wormhole Gate 3B had already collapsed. Now, 3 more showed dangerous instability. A robotic member of the engineering guild reported in a flat voice. We cannot stabilize the gates. Human gravitational engineers designed the maintenance algorithms. Without their oversight, the gates are failing one by one. Councillor Laric displayed a holomap. The glowing wormhole lines flickered like dying veins in a giant body. If Gate 12A collapses, he warned, half the galaxy will be cut off from food shipments. The council chamber erupted in fear. We must repair it. Call the human engineers back. Demand their return. But the archivist shook his head gently. Demanding will achieve nothing now. We are reaping the harvest of our arrogance. The words tasted bitter. By hour 27, civilian communications became chaos. Thousands of species began panicking. Governments demanded answers. Trade guilds threatened revolt. Colonies reported missing supply ships. Hospitals begged for medicine. Mining worlds cried out for hyperfuel. Every request carried the same final line. Where are the humans? The council desperately tried to reassure everyone. We have the situation under control. Negotiations will resume soon. There is no reason to panic. But each message was a lie, and the galaxy knew it. Inside the council chamber, High Speaker Aurum sat hunched forward, listening to report after report. The 6th security captain announced. 2 border stations have been seized by raiders. Another 9 are calling for human assistance. Aurum rubbed his temples. Send council fleets. We cannot, the captain replied. Our ships depend on human tracking software. We have no working starlane predictions. the fleet would be flying blind. Orem closed his eyes, feeling something tighten in his chest. Fear. Real fear. Then call the humans, he whispered. Zirith hissed. You can't be serious. After the humiliation they caused. Humiliation. Orem snapped. We insulted them. Mocked them. Treated them as servants. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Orem's voice trembled. They were the ones keeping this council functioning. Humans built the communication hubs, the defense algorithms, the plague trackers, the navigation warnings. And we treated them like children. Zirith opened her mouth to argue, but Orem silenced her with a raised hand. The humans were never the weak ones. We were. As our 30 arrived, the situation collapsed even further. The Talos frontier, a distant and fragile region once protected by human patrol fleets, was now overrun by conflict. Without human diplomats mediating peace, old rivalries reignited like oil meeting flame. A broadcast appeared on every main screen. A battlefield. Smoke. Fire. Ships exploding. Civilians fleeing. A terrified officer on the Talos frontier spoke through static. We need human support. The peacekeepers abandoned us. We are not prepared. The screen cut to black. The chamber sat frozen as if carved from stone. By the end of the first day, one thing was clear. The galaxy needed humans more than it had ever understood. Every crisis, every collapse, every emergency showed the same truth. Humans had held the galaxy together quietly, invisibly, persistently. And without them, everything trembled. Late into the night cycle, Orem stood before the chamber. We will send an emergency delegation, he declared. We must speak to Earth. Apologize. Ask for their guidance. Lord Raxus slammed his fist on his platform. We do not beg. This is not begging, Orem said coldly. This is survival. He stared at every delegate, his voice low and heavy. We feared humans becoming powerful. But now we see the truth. He paused. They already were. Not through conquest. Not through dominance. But through service. A quiet strength so vast the council had never noticed until it was gone. Orem turned away, his final words echoing through the chamber like a prophecy. If humanity does not return, the galaxy will fall. And far away, on the blue world of Earth, the humans were already preparing for something new. Alliances the council would not see coming. The council chamber was quieter than it had been in centuries. No one shouted. No one argued. Even the always aggressive Lord Raxus stayed seated, staring at the cold floor beneath his armored feet. The galaxy was breaking apart like fragile glass, and there was nothing they could do. High Speaker Orem called for one final report before the emergency delegation left for Earth. Bring in the archivist, he ordered. The doors opened with a soft hiss, and the Supreme Archivist, an old, thin creature with faded blue skin and tired eyes, entered slowly. He carried a small data case pressed gently against his chest. Unlike the younger council members, the archivist did not move with confidence. His steps showed the weight of decades, and secrets. When he reached the center platform, Orem asked quietly, Archivist, what have you discovered? The old alien bowed his head. A mistake, he said softly. A terrible mistake. The chamber shifted uncomfortably. What mistake? Zirith snapped, clicking her crystal wings impatiently. The archivist opened the small data case. Inside was a single glowing cube, one that shimmered with encrypted layers of forbidden information. This file, the archivist explained, has been locked for almost 80 years. Only certain high speakers were permitted to read it. It contains everything about Earth's involvement in the galaxy. Raxus grumbled. We already know their involvement. They trade. They negotiate. They annoy. The archivist shook his head slowly. No, Lord Raxus. What you know is the surface. What this file holds, is the truth. He placed the cube into the holographic projector. At once, the chamber was filled with floating images. Human ships assisting in distant wars. Human scientists working in underground labs. Human diplomats calming violent meetings. Human engineers repairing ancient artificial structures older than the council itself. Council members gasped as the scenes unfolded. Orem stepped closer. Explain this. The archivist took a shaky breath. Humanity has prevented 18 major interstellar wars, he began. 6 potential species extinctions. 3 economic collapses. And dozens of border conflicts. The room exploded with whispers. That cannot be. How could we not know this? They never told us. The archivist raised his hand for silence. They never told you, he repeated, because they never wanted recognition. Humans did not do these things for power. They did them to prevent suffering. Zirith hissed angrily. Why hide this? Why not report it to the council formally? The archivist stared at her sadly. They did report it. Almost every time. But the council ignored the reports. Zirith's wings froze. The room went silent. The archivist continued, his voice softer now, almost trembling. 80 years ago, the council leadership believed humans were too young to play a meaningful role in galactic affairs. Their reports were filed as assistance or supplementary efforts. Nothing more. Commander Larik, the robotic representative, tilted his metal head. How many reports were ignored? The archivist swallowed. All of them. A cold wave rolled through the room. Lord Raxus actually stood, stunned. All? Every single one? The archivist nodded. Yes. Tens of thousands of reports. Classified. Buried. Forgotten. Orem felt his stomach tighten. His legs weakened, and he gripped his podium for support. We assumed, the archivist said slowly, that humanity's influence was small. But in truth, the galaxy we built depended on them. Quietly. Silently. Completely. He gestured at the glowing images. Humans saving a species from a dying sun. Humans intercepting pirate fleets before they attacked colonies. Humans detecting wormhole fluctuations days before collapse. Humans sending medical ships into plague zones no one else dared to enter. The archivist's voice grew heavier. They did everything without complaint. They were the galaxy's safety net. And we. His voice faltered. We treated them like children. No one dared speak. Even the lights seemed dimmer. Then a new hologram filled the room, this one showing a meeting from 30 years ago. A young human diplomat stood before the council, asking for assistance in creating a cooperative emergency response program. The council had laughed at him, mocked him, dismissed him. The human bowed politely, and continued working alone. Another image appeared, an abandoned research lab. Humans inside it wore tired expressions, doing the work of 10 species without support, funding, or recognition. Another image, humans building navigation stations in asteroid belts while council members sat in luxurious chambers discussing the laziness of young species. The chamber grew colder with every scene. Raxus slowly sank back into his seat. These humans, he muttered. They saved us. Again and again. The archivist nodded. Yes. And they never asked for reward. Orem whispered, why didn't they stop? Why keep helping us? The archivist closed his tired eyes. Because they believed in a galaxy that didn't believe in them. Silence. Powerful, crushing silence. Then the archivist activated one final file, a message from an old human ambassador recorded many decades earlier. The holographic human appeared tired but hopeful. We do not help because we seek power, he said. We help because we can. And because someone must. If the council one day chooses to work with us truly, we will stand beside you. Until then, we will do our part quietly. As the message faded, every council member felt a sharp twist in their chest. Not guilt. Not fear. Shame. Because they had laughed at the very people who saved them. They had mocked the species that held the galaxy together. They had pushed away their strongest ally. Orem spoke with a hollow voice. We never saw the truth. Or, we never wanted to. The archivist's eyes softened. Humans are not the young race, he said quietly. They are the caretakers of this galaxy. And we have failed them. No one argued. No one dared. Orem finally straightened. His voice shook with resolve. We will send an apology delegation. Immediately. But deep inside, every council member wondered the same fearful question. Would humans even listen? Because after seeing the hidden truth, after uncovering decades of disrespect, the galaxy had finally realized its greatest mistake. And humanity had already walked away. The Galactic Council had made many important decisions in its long history, but never had the chamber felt so heavy, so uncertain, or so afraid. After the truth about humanity's hidden work became known, there were no arguments left, no pride, no arrogance. Only regret. High Speaker Orem stood at the center platform, looking older than ever. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. We will send a delegation to Earth, he announced. A sincere one. Not with orders. Not with conditions. Only with apology and respect. His words floated through the chamber like fragile glass. No one objected. Everyone knew this was their last chance. Lord Raxus, who had once threatened to discipline the humans, now sat quietly with lowered eyes. If they refuse to meet us, he muttered, we cannot blame them. Zirith, proud and elegant with her crystal wings, folded them tight against her back. We will have to earn their forgiveness, she whispered. If forgiveness is even possible. Commander Larik, the robotic envoy, offered a rare statement of emotion. His mechanical voice softened. The Council must prepare for the possibility that the humans will not accept us back. The archivist, exhausted from revealing the past, simply nodded. They gave us 80 years of silent support. And we gave them 80 years of disrespect. A cold silence settled. Finally, Aurum chose the members of the delegation. It included High Speaker Aurum, as official representative. Lord Raxus, symbol of military power. Zirith, representing diplomacy. Commander Larik, logic and reason. The Supreme Archivist, keeper of truth. It was a group that represented the Council's failure, and its hope. The journey begins. The Council's grand diplomatic ship, the Silver Promise, left the capital world under somber skies. Where departure ceremonies usually involved cheering crowds and colorful banners, today there was nothing. No crowds. No music. No celebration. Just the sound of thrusters igniting as the delegation began its long journey toward Earth. Inside the ship, no one spoke much. Everyone carried the same silent fear. What if humanity refused to listen? For many species, humans were unpredictable, emotional, and strange. But the Council had always known one thing about them. Once their trust was broken, it was nearly impossible to regain. Aurum sat alone in his private cabin, replaying old Council sessions. He watched younger versions of themselves dismiss human representatives with arrogance and false smiles. He felt sick. This is our doing, he whispered to himself. We forced them to walk away. Approaching Earth. When the Silver Promise reached the Sol system, they expected to be greeted by a standard human patrol. A friendly welcome. Maybe a polite question. Instead, a powerful human AI defense system scanned the ship instantly. A calm but emotionless voice echoed through every speaker. Galactic Council vessel detected. You are entering restricted space. State your purpose. Aurum stood and spoke clearly. We come in peace, with apology and request for communication. There was a long pause. An uncomfortably long pause. Finally, the AI responded. Your request will be evaluated. Do not proceed. Remain stationary. Every member on the bridge exchanged nervous looks. That, Zirith whispered, is not normal human behavior. No one argued. Minutes passed. Then 20 minutes. Then 40. The Council members began to understand the new reality. Humans were no longer waiting for the Council. Humans no longer needed the Council. And humans were no longer required to be polite. Finally, a new voice spoke, this one clearly human, but cold and controlled. Galactic Council delegation, Earth acknowledges your presence. Your ship will be escorted to a secure orbit. You are not permitted to land at this time. Not permitted to land. Raxus's mouth dropped slightly. They have never denied us landing rights before. They have never had a reason to, the archivist replied sadly. The secure orbit. The delegation entered a restricted orbit around Earth. Human defense satellites glowed with bright energy. They were stronger, faster, and more advanced than anything the Council had seen before. Commander Larik scanned them. These weapons are generations ahead of our own. Humans grew while we looked down on them, Zirith said softly. No one disagreed. Soon, a message arrived requesting a visual transmission. Aurum straightened his robes. The delegation gathered around the central screen. The image flickered, and a human appeared. He was an older man with calm eyes and a firm posture, an official representative of Earth's newly formed Unified Terran Directorate. He did not smile. Galactic Council, he said with a controlled voice. State your purpose. Aurum bowed slightly. We come to apologize. We come to understand. And we come to ask if humanity will speak with us again. The human representative's expression did not change. There is nothing to apologize for, he said. Your actions were deliberate. Your choices were consistent. And your disrespect was repeated. Raxus stepped forward. We did not understand the full truth. The human raised an eyebrow. You did not want to understand it. Zirith attempted to speak. Please, We seek only conversation. Conversation, the human interrupted, is earned, not demanded. The delegation fell silent. This was not anger. This was not hatred. This was something far more painful. It was disappointment. The human leaned forward. For decades, our people warned you. Our diplomats brought solutions. Our scientists shared discoveries. Our soldiers died protecting borders that were not ours. He paused. And in return, we were treated as a junior species. As assistants. As children. No one could deny it. The human continued calmly. You did not see our work because you chose not to see it. The chamber on the ship felt smaller and smaller. Finally, Orem gathered the courage to speak. We accept complete responsibility. We ask only for the chance to explain ourselves in person. Another long silence. The human representative finally answered. You will be permitted to speak. But not yet. The council members looked confused. Humanity, the man said, is no longer rushing to fix the galaxy's problems. And rebuilding trust takes time. He ended the message with a final line that struck the entire delegation like a blade. You may begin by waiting. Something we did for you for 80 years. The screen went dark. Silence filled the ship. And for the first time in the council's long history, they realized what it felt like to be ignored. The delegation from the Galactic Council waited in orbit around Earth for what felt like an eternity. Days passed with no message, no permission to land, and no sign of progress. Each sunrise over Earth reminded them that they were no longer in control. Humanity was. The ship's atmosphere grew heavier with each passing hour. Even Commander Larrick's emotionless voice sounded different as he announced time reports. The humans have not replied, he repeated quietly on the third day. Zirith kept pacing from one side of the observation window to the other. Her wings flickered with restless energy. Humans are impatient, she said. So why are they making us wait? The archivist answered without looking up from his terminal. Perhaps because they learned patience while we ignored them. And now, they want us to learn it too. Lord Raxus groaned. He had never been good at waiting. They should just meet us and end this suffering. How long must we sit here? Orem didn't respond. He stared at Earth through the viewing port, remembering every meeting where he dismissed human warnings, every time he smiled politely but refused to listen. Now humanity was showing him the cost of those choices. On the fifth day, the silence finally ended. A soft alarm sounded. A message had arrived. Everyone froze. The message. The main screen flickered on, revealing a new human representative. She was younger than the last one, stern but calm, with dark hair tied back and a steady confidence in her eyes. I am Director Elena Ward of the Terran Directorate, she said. I speak on behalf of Earth and its allied human colonies. The council members straightened in their seats. Elena continued without emotion. You have requested an apology meeting. You have requested audience with the Directorate Council. And you have requested to restore relations. Zirith bowed deeply. Yes, Director Ward. That is all we hope for. The human scanned the room with sharp eyes, as if seeing straight through every member. Very well, she said. But before we proceed, the galaxy owes us honesty. Orem swallowed. What honesty do you require? Elena leaned forward slightly. Why did you treat us as inferior? Why did you silence our reports? Why did you mock our scientists and ignore our diplomats? Her voice was steady. Not angry. Not emotional. Just demanding truth. Orem tried to speak carefully. We believed humanity was inexperienced. Younger. Less stable. We believed you were not ready for leadership. And you were wrong, Elena said. The words struck the room like thunder. The archivist spoke gently. We were blind. Worse, we chose to be blind. The human nodded slowly. That is the first honest thing I have heard from your council in decades. The invitation. After a moment of silence, Director Ward continued. We will allow 5 of you to land on Earth. Raxus blinked in shock. 5? Why so few? Security, she answered simply. Humanity has changed. And we no longer welcome entire fleets orbiting our world. No one argued. You will land at a secure facility, Elena continued. There, you will speak with our Directorate Council. They will listen. They will judge your sincerity. Orem bowed his head. We are grateful. But understand this, she added. You are not meeting us as your students. Not as your junior species. You are meeting us as equals. The words warmed the room and chilled it at the same time. Yes, Orem agreed softly. Equals. For the first time, Elena said. Then the transmission ended. Arrival on Earth. When the Council delegation arrived at the Terran Directorate complex, they found it nothing like the peaceful Earth they once knew. The facility was fortified, protected by drones, energy shields, and armed guards in dark armor. Yet every human they saw moved with calm discipline, not aggressive, not hostile, just vigilant. The delegation was guided into a large meeting hall. There, 10 humans sat behind a curved table, the Directorate Council. They greeted the aliens with respectful nods, not smiles. Director Ward spoke first. You came for apology. We are here to listen. Orem stepped forward. His voice trembled slightly. For decades, humans helped the galaxy quietly. You saved lives, you prevented wars, you offered knowledge freely. And we dismissed you. Called you young. Called you reckless. Ignored your efforts. He took a breath. We were wrong. Raxus, for once humble, added, we treated you unfairly. And we are ready to correct that mistake. The archivist lifted the data cube of forgotten reports. For 80 years, your work was buried. We apologize for every moment of it. The hall remained silent for a long moment. Then Director Ward asked the question none of them expected. Why should humanity forgive you? Ziritha's wings folded tightly. Because you are better than us, she said quietly. You have always been better than us. You saved us even when we refused to see it. Elena's face did not soften, but something in her eyes changed. Humanity responds. After a private discussion, the Directorate Council returned. Elena Ward spoke clearly. The galaxy is not safe. Conflicts rise again. Trade routes are unstable. Outer colonies face new threats. She looked around the alien delegation. And without humanity's help, the Galactic Council cannot stabilize the situation. No one denied it. But we are not returning to the way things were, she continued. We will not be silent helpers. We will not stand in your shadow. She raised her chin. From this day forward, humanity will act as an independent power. Equal in authority. Equal in responsibility. Orem nodded. We accept this. And if cooperation continues, Elena added, it must be mutual, with respect. The archivist bowed deeply. You have our respect now. Fully. Then Director Ward's tone softened just a little. Humanity will offer limited cooperation, for now. Not because we owe you anything, but because we still believe in the galaxy. A breath of relief passed through the delegation. And one more thing, she added. Everyone looked up. Trust is not restored today. It will take years. Maybe decades. But this is a beginning. Orem bowed again. A beginning is all we hoped for. Elena nodded. We will walk forward together. Slowly. Carefully. As equals. The verdict. As the delegation left Earth, Orem felt something he had not felt in years, hope. Not certainty, not victory, but hope. Humanity had not turned them away. Humanity had not taken revenge. Humanity had chosen a path forward. But this time, the Council understood the truth. The galaxy no longer carried humanity. Humanity carried the galaxy. And now, if they wished to survive, they would walk beside the humans with humility and respect. The verdict was clear. Humanity forgave, but did not forget. And the new era of the galaxy began with that